back. It's Friday, June 13th, 2025, Friday the 13th. This is the 13th episode of Flight Path. I'm Andrew Duhan. Joined alongside me is my electric co-host, Jeff Benedict. You can find him on X at jben_flight path. If you're going to talk your shit, no playing victim when he claps back. We've got another tight agenda for you guys. But before we dive into what our show for today, just want to thank all of our subscribers, listeners. We only go as far as you guys take us. So hope you enjoy this episode. Jeff, what's been circulating around the web right now is whether or not Darnell Mooney is poised for a breakout in 2025. So Mooney signed a 3-year deal with the Falcons for $39 million in 2024. He's in the second year of his deal. Do you think that 2025 could be a big year for Mooney?
I expect it to be a big year for Darnell Mooney. I mean, he was, less than 10 yards shy of 1,000 yards last year in a year that really, first year in a new system for everybody. Quarterback was hurt half the year. He comes into a new city trying to get acclimated, and then all of a sudden, a quarterback that you haven't caught a pass from is inserted in for the final 3 games. So I think a lot went wrong. And again, he still almost put up 1,000 yards. And so for me, I expect him to break the 1,000-yard barrier. I expect him to be closer to 1,500 yards. And by the end of the year, I expect people to be talking about what a duo, Drake London and Darnell Mooney are.
Here's the funny thing about that, Jeff. You're absolutely right. He was 8 yards away from hitting that 1,000-yard mark. But the most interesting part of that is, A, he didn't play in the Carolina game, and B, he had 2 games. Game 1 against Pittsburgh, where Kirk Cousins was just horrendous, and against Vegas, where he only had 1 target. So in that Pittsburgh game, he had 3 targets. So that's essentially 3 games where they weren't really utilizing him all the way, and he still had 992 yards. Now, check out this stat too. He had 7 games where he went over 80 yards, which I think is fantastic for him. I mean, that's almost like 50% of the games. I think with 1 year of working with MP9, we might be looking at a wide receiver duo, both going over 1,000 yards. And the Falcons haven't had that since 2012 with Roddy White and Julio Jones.
Yeah, I think, there's potential for them to be special. Is Drake London as good as Julio? No. Is he ever going to be? I don't think so. Is he good? Yes. Can he be elite? I think he can knock on that door. And I think when you look at number twos, when you look at number twos across the league, there's a lot of names that pop out at you. The T. Higgins, the Pua Nukuas. There are some guys that jump out as number twos, and there's a lot of other guys, right? I'm not going to get into that entire list. But I think, again, in the year, we'll be talking about Darnell Mooney up there with those guys. As you look at his career, he's chipping away. And so for me, again, at the end of the year, I expect that those two will have put up close to 3,000 receiving yards combined. Hopefully a lot of touchdowns, and hopefully, again, we'll look back and, brush our shoulders off a little bit here as guys that kind of, saw this happening.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Jeff, a lot of people in the media, when they look at our wide receiver duo, they're not as bullish as me and you. I mean, you sent me that article where someone had us ranked at number 19. I was actually going through ESPN's rankings of them. Mike Clay, who does the rankings of the wide receiver rooms. Jeff, I'm going to read you a couple of teams off the list that he ranked higher than the Falcons, which caught my eye. Jacksonville with Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. I mean, I get Brian Thomas had a really good rookie year, but you don't know what Travis Hunter is going to translate to in the NFL. Miami, you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill, you really, he's on the tail end of his career. Not in 2025, right? I don't think that's a fair comparison for the Falcons. Then he went on to list Pittsburgh, Washington, Chicago, KC, Detroit, and Baltimore all having better wide receiver rooms than the Falcons. The one that I took exception to the most out of all of them is Chicago because, I mean, Drake London's better than DJ Moore. Mooney maybe he's better than Rome Odunze. I think Odunze has potential. We just haven't seen it yet. And yeah, they drafted Luther Burden, who's a rookie, but like the guy's not even practicing. So there's a bunch of teams on that list. Even Casey. I mean, all Casey has is Xavier Worthy, right? I mean, I guess they have Rashee Rice coming back from injury, but I'd take London and Mooney over them too.
Yeah, I'm not. There's a. I mean, I get that. I don't know. I just you become a Falcons fan, right? And you kind of get used to teams in media people just kind of blowing over what's going on here in Atlanta, right? And you can't really blame them. It's been 7 years, and there hasn't really been that big name that jumps out at you and says, hey, look at us, we got something cooking. I think when you look at the collective, though, I think the collective is going to surprise a lot of people. I saw it, and I forgot who it was. It was some fantasy idiots, and they put out like their top 10 teams. Each of them had like their top 10 teams of best offseason. And Carolina and the Saints were on there, and I'm like, what the fuck did either of them do, right? Like, how did either of them get better? For me, the Falcons. I think the Falcons got better. They won't be any worse, right? And I say I think because ultimately they didn't add a marquee name, right? Like there was no flash, there was no bang, and so I understand all of that. And I get you let a guy like Dahlman walk, you don't replace him. Like I get those things. But I think the collective pie, this team got better this offseason. I think they did a really good job of addressing needs this offseason. So while they didn't go out and get that big, high-profile, big name, they addressed needs with some pretty good people. And they addressed some specifics that they needed to address. And so for me, whether we're talking about best wide receiver groups or best running back groups or best teams or who had the best, like all of that to me, there's no reason if you follow the game of football, biases aside, and I know it's really hard, especially when this is a Falcons-based podcast, to say biases aside. But it's really hard to look at the league objectively and go, you know what, they actually did have a really good offseason, and there's no reason that in year number 2 of a Zach Robinson offense, and you're really a full offseason now with Michael Penix, a full offseason now with the other guys on this team, that Darnell Mooney, Drake London, Michael Penix, Bijan Robinson, like that entire offense won't be better.
100% agreed. And the part there, Jeff, that kind of drives me crazy too, like it's kind of like anytime the Falcons make a move, like finally they address their pass rush, grab 2 pass rushers. It's like, you morons, you traded away your first round. But everything just kind of has like a negative connotation. Like you don't realize like that we not only added those 2 pass rushers, right? And we're going to get to this later, but we added a safety, Xavier Watts, in the end of the third, which most people had going in the second round. And we got this kid out of Oklahoma, Billy Bowman, who we're going to talk about later. Like I think maybe, again, Falcons podcast, maybe I'm being a little biased here, but I honestly can't say that we did improve. Like it's pretty obvious that the defense got better, and the reason why, like, there's also an implicit improvement that we're giving our quarterback Michael Penix Jr. a full offseason to work with his guys. So like if you count that as an improvement as well, the version of the Falcons you saw at the end of 2024 is gonna we're gonna be a much better team compared to that versus the version of the Panthers you saw, right? The last game of the season against the Panthers. Are they going to be significantly better than what they showed us in Week 18? No, I don't think they are. I mean, they added Ted McMillan, but I mean, other than that, I can't really point to anything they've really done that would, give me pause for concern.
No, I completely agree. Theoretically, should Carolina be better? They should. I mean, it's another year with Bryce Young. It's another year with a coaching staff. It's it's year two for some of these guys. So theoretically, should they be better? Yes. But have they done anything to address some of the needs? No. And so, and you can say the same thing to me about the Saints. The Saints haven't, they didn't come into the offseason needing a quarterback, but they're leaving it with the need of one, right? And so, they got worse. I think Tampa probably got better. I think Tampa's the team that you could look on paper and go, yeah, that's the team that's going to challenge the Falcons. And so, overall, we'll see what happens. But I like where the Falcons are as they end, their first, mini camp here of 2025.
Yeah, and about Tampa though, I mean, they're aging wide receivers, right? Like that's a problem. I know they got Ibuka, that's going to help, but Mike Evans is probably not going to be what he was then, and they have an OC that's never called plays. Like I really think that at minimum, Tampa Bay stays the same. New Orleans is worse because they lost Carr. Carolina's probably the same, and Falcons. You can make an argument are the only ones that are going to be a better version of themselves in 2025, and that is my biased take in this segment.